Hello everyone, welcome to Pipesim Python Toolkit for Beginners. This is a demonstration of the main Python Toolkit functionality to manage fluids. In this video I focus on black oil fluid. It is possible to create the model from scratch, then add fluid and assign it to the boundary node. But I found a good example in case studies, pipeline models. There is a good model called Viking. I opened this model in my PTK session and saved it in the temporary folder. If we open this model in user interface, we will see that there is a source, flowline, and sink. By default, this model contains compositional fluid, and there is only one defined fluid with properties. I'm going to use these properties later to set up my black oil fluid property. Let's check if we have other fluids. For example, under black oil settings, there is no fluids. So my task is, first of all, to change the fluid type of this model from compositional to black oil, then define black oil fluid, define properties for this fluid, and assign the fluid to source platform. Let's go back to the code. First of all, I need to check what's the type of the fluid is selected for this model. I can use model fluids and then select fluid type. PTK reports me that fluid composition is used, and this is what we saw in user interface. So now I'm going to change this and use constants, then fluid type, and I need to define black oil fluid. We successfully override the main fluid in my model to black oil. Now we can save the model and check from user interface that the property was changed. Open the model, go to the properties, and we see that this time when we open the model, the black oil fluid is used. So we can continue. Let's check from the Python Toolkit session that there is no black oil fluid in this model. I'm going to use model, find, then find all components, and filter the results by type of the component, black oil fluid. PTK returns me the empty list. That means there is no black oil fluid in this model. Let's check the same for compositional fluid. So I copied the same line, and this time I'm going to use compositional fluid. And PTK returns me the Viking. That's what we saw in the user interface. There is only one fluid, compositional fluid called Viking. So we are ready to create the new fluid. Fluid, I can use the model, add, and then I need to set up the component name. It will be model components. And here we can say that we are going to create a black oil fluid. And I need to define the name of this fluid. I'm going to use black oil BO_1. Black oil fluid was created, and I'm ready to add the property for this fluid. I have predefined dataset, and these properties represent the same fluid what we have in the model right now with compositional properties. So we are going to use the water cut 0, liquid gas ratio, and some value here, dead oil density, and then we need to define 2 points viscosity to set the viscosity value versus the temperature. So let's start from adding water cut, liquid gas ratio, and dead oil viscosity. I can do it one by one, but it's much better if we can create a data structure which keeps all our properties and then just update the model using this data structure. For this purpose, I need to import default dictionary from collections library. So from collections, I'm going to import default dictionary. The dictionary was imported, and now I need to create this data structure. I will call it fluid data, and then use default dictionary, and it will be the dictionary of dictionaries. So the structure is ready. I will use it. First, what I need to do is define the name of the object I want to specify. It will be the black oil fluid 1, and then I need to set the properties. So I will use the parameters, black oil fluid, and I need to set water cut value. the value will be 0. Then I copy this line, and I need to add other properties. You remember that we need to set the liquid gas ratio, and I need to copy the value of this liquid gas ratio. So the units are correct for field system. And now I need to set dead oil density. So for dead oil density, I'm going to set the parameters to dead oil density, and then instead of the value I have, I need to copy this value. So let's replace this one. And now we are ready. We have this structure. Let me just print this property. So we have the dictionary, where we have the name of the component and then the properties of the component. And we can easily apply this property to model. I should use model, set values, and then just specify the name of our data structure. So the property was updated, and we can save the model and check the changes from the user interface. Open it, and we can see that, yeah, we've got one black oil fluid, but there is something wrong with the input. I expected that the property for gas ratio should be liquid gas rate, and the property is there, but by default, Pipesim uses the gas liquid ratio, so we need to do something to change this. And we also see that API is used instead of the dead oil density, but the water cut is defined properly. Anyway, so we've got the model, and we need to find what's the properties used. So let's request the property of this black oil fluid and see what we can change. I'm going to use model, get values, and then just define the name of the fluid. Request everything here, and we can open it in editor and try to see what's here is responsible for gas liquid ratio setup and what's responsible for dead oil density. We can see that there is a property called use gas ratio, where gas oil ratio is specified explicit. So we need to override this property additional. And we also need to check what's responsible for dead oil density. You see that there is a property use dead oil density, and the value is false. It means that we need to use true instead of this false. Let's go back to the code and override this property. So I'm going to use the same data structure, what I've already used. Just continue to enter properties there. I will add use gas ratio, and I need to say that liquid gas rate will be used. So there is a special constants gas ratio option, and here we have different options, and we need to say that liquid gas ratio will be used. And I also want to add property to use my dead oil density instead of API. Use dead oil density, and I will set true. And I need to repeat the same step to apply changes and save the model. So I'm going to use apply changes and model save. So everything is updated. So I need to open the same one more time and check from the user interface. Open black oil fluid, and this time we see that liquid gas ratio is selected and dead oil density is selected. Let's go back to my fluid settings, and we can see that there is also viscosity property we need to define. If we select viscosity tab in black oil fluid, we see that dead oil correlation is Beggs and Robinson by default, but we need to find the way to set up the 2 points user values and then override temperature and viscosity, and the temperature and viscosity for second set. Let's go back to the code and find this property. We have these properties, and here you may see that there is dead oil density, and below we have the dead oil temperature and dead oil temperature 2. And we have also dead oil viscosity and dead oil viscosity 2. So we need to override these values. In addition, we need to say that dead oil viscosity correlation would be different. It shouldn't be Beggs and Robinson, it should be 2 points correlation. So let's continue updating our data structure. I'm going to copy the same line, And now I will change this. First, I will set the dead oil viscosity correlation. I'm going to use constants again. Find dead oil viscosity correlation. And we have different correlations here. I need to select user 2 points where it is updated. And now I am ready to enter data. So dead oil temperature 1. The temperature will be, let me check what I have here. So the temperature 1, I will use the 60, and then viscosity. So it will be 60. And I'm going to copy the same line and enter dead oil viscosity. And the viscosity should be 1.82. And I need to copy the same lines, but this time I need to set the temperature for set 2, and I've done the mistake here, so it shouldn't be the temperature, it should be viscosity. The dead oil viscosity 1. So let me overwrite these properties. And we have the viscosity for set 2. This time it should be 20 and 1.345. So I update these values. And now dataset is ready. Let me just double check that we have everything what we need. So for black oil fluid we have the water cut, liquid gas ratio, and then we define all other properties. And now I need to apply changes and save the model. Let's enter the same code here, and I'm ready to check everything from the user interface. So in the user interface, we see that we have fluid, and in the fluid we have on the viscosity tab user 2 point, and then we have the temperature 60 and temperature 20. So everything is defined here properly. And the last step I need to do is to assign this fluid to the boundary node. For this purpose, I will use model set value and then say that it will be context. The name of the component I want to update is platform. It's the name of the source. And then I need to update the parameters, source. And here I have several options: associated black oil fluid, compositional fluid, or MFL fluid. And of course I'm going to associate it with black oil fluid. And then I need to set the value, and I need to define the name of the black oil fluid. We have BO1, so BO1 will be used. Model save. Go to the user interface. Check that there is no validation. Source is there, black oil is assigned, and we can run PT profile, for instance, and check that everything works fine. So we have the good results here. And now I'm ready to finish my exercise. I need to close the session.